So we also discussed about quantitative methods. In that, we discussed what is deterministic models, probabilistic models. All these are part of OR. Then in mathematical model, you need to define the relations. Then we also touched upon break-even analysis. So OR is a subject which discusses the decision making. There are various techniques, as I have been telling you again and again. The techniques like linear programming, game theory, waiting line theory, queuing theory, replacement theory, assignment models, transportation models, and many. So the very first thing is you have to formulate the problem, then develop a mathematical model, then you can derive a solution from the model and test the model, verify the model, then install a feedback mechanism. Feedback mechanism means the results of the model to be tested and then implement the solution. The first technique is linear programming. So that is again a quantitative technique. And here there are two parts in linear programming. So one is for profit and another is for loss. So if it is profit, obviously it has to be maximization problem because nobody wants minimum profit. Everybody profit has to be maximum. And if it is a loss problem, then it has to be minimization problem. That is, loss has to be minimum, loss has to be zero. So loss or cost, they are minimization problem, and profits are maximization problem. So linear programming, it is an extension of break-even analysis. And as I said, there are algorithms, many algorithm available, out of which one Karmarkar algorithm is very popular because that algorithm can take almost more than 100 variables. So in linear programming, two types of problems are analyzed, that is maximization and minimization, and subjected to the constraints. Constraint means you have limitations on budget, you have limitations on resources, limitations on the raw materials, limitations on the working hours, limitations on the number of people. So these are called as the constraints. And within these constraints, you have to earn maximum profit. And linear programming can be solved by simplex method. or by graphical method, or by using algorithm with the help of the software. Then capital budgeting. So like linear programming, your capital budgeting also provides a set of techniques a manager can use to evaluate the relative attractiveness of various projects where the payment is to be made in bulk. So capital budgeting techniques will help you to analyze the profitability of the investments. That is, if you are investing this much, how much profit you are going to get. Then capital investment analysis, capital investment decisions, and capital expenditure decisions. See, capital investment means investment which is done in the plant and machinery. That is, whenever you are starting a new plant, uh, so that time you invest in your plant. So plant will include your land, then your electricity, then all your civil work, everything. So that analysis also can be done with the help of OR. Like purchase of machineries or workstation for a new assembly line. So this is what is your capital expenditure. So you have to be very, very careful whenever you are investing in capital. That's why it is always advisable to simulate and see what will be the profits, and management is ready to wait even for 6 months to 8 months before investing the money, because model building, simulation, analysis will take around 6 to 9 months. Like Maruti plants, Hero Honda plants, they were all simulated before actually investing, before the investment. The plant like Hero Honda plant, it had taken around 6 months for building and testing the model or simulating the model, because its assembly lines are very complex. So to ascertain the profitability of each project, we compare by different methods, that is payback method, ROI method. ROI method is nothing but return on investment, present value method, then return on total capital employed, then linear programming model, and simulation technique. Simulation technique is more popular now. So payback method may you have to just study briefly because there will not be any question asked on this. So in payback method, here you are checking the number of years in which the investment is expected to get back. Like suppose if the machine is costing say 1 lakh, that is say 100,000. So when you will get this 100,000 back, how many years? That is what is nothing but your payback period. So suppose here now example is given say 20,000 in first year, 40,000 in second year, and 40,000 in third year. So the payback period is 3 years. Of course, you have to consider the interest also here, interest on 100,000 rupees. So if you consider interest of around say 6%, so on 1 lakh and for 3 years, it will come around 18,000 or more than 18,000 if it is cumulative. So you should, if you are getting 1 lakh 20,000 back in 3 years, then payback period is called as the 3 years. Then in return on investment method. So here we evaluate or we calculate the rate of return, that is also called as the ROR, rate of return. And there are formulas for calculating this rate of return. Probably you might have studied this in IFAC, financial accounts, you might have studied. So what is the return on investment, or what is the rate of return? Like here now, just see carefully. This one example is given. So here rate of return is 1 and here it is 1.5. So obviously this is higher. So we'll go for this. Then third method is present value return on investment method. Present value means like suppose 100 rupees is given, there is present value and there is a future value also. Like suppose a person, he has choice of having rupees 100 now or after 1 year. So obviously the option is 100 now, because after 1 year if he is getting 100 rupees, it's of no use. Then after 1 year, it should be more, 110. So we have to calculate the present value and take the decision. Then trial and error, net gain method, these are not commonly used. Linear programming model or LP model is used commonly, but if you are going to do it manually, then it has limitations, because if the number of variables or the constraints increases, then manually it is difficult. So that time you have to use algorithms like Karmarkar algorithm, etc., etc. Okay. So this was a recap, a faster recap. Then inventory management, as I told that inventory management, inventory should be zero. So you should work on zero inventory. And there are four types of inventories: raw material inventory, work in process inventory, finish inventory, and spares inventory. So earlier the concept of zero inventory was not there. So that time we used to calculate economic order quantity, and accordingly based on that EOQ model we used to maintain the inventory. But now we believe on zero inventory. Of course, the components like class A components, there we do maintain the inventory, but that is also peoples have come down till 3 hours inventory. Like initially in the beginning it was 15 days inventory, 10 days inventory, then it was a week's inventory. So now it has come till 3 hours inventory, 3 hours for A class item. So inventory management is again very important task. Those days has gone where we used to maintain an inventory of 1 crore. So imagine 1 crore inventory, and if the rate of interest is 6%, so the interest you are paying is 6 lakhs. 6 lakhs interest you are paying per year, that is 50,000 rupees per month. That could be the salary of 5 workers if you are giving 10,000 rupees per worker. Then another technique is expected value model. Expected value. So if you are taking an example of air conditioner, mm, so everybody knows that the sale of air conditioner will depend on how hot the summer is. So the outcome will depend upon the probability. Like suppose if you consider that is the expected value for any event is the income it would produce multiplied by its probability. And if you add all the expected values, then you can get the average or expected sale value. So suppose if it is a hot summer and hot summer ka probability is say 30%, then this will be the expected value, that is this is sales into probability zero point 0.3, like this is here 100 lakhs or 1 crore into zero point 0.3, that is 30 lakhs. If it is normal summer, then it is 70 lakhs into probability, because if the summer is hot, obviously your sale is going to be more. If it is normal, then your sale will be less. And if it is not too hot, then your sale will be still less. So that's why this is 100 lakhs, 1 crore, this is 70 lakhs, and this is 40 lakh. But the probability of normal summer will be high, 0.5. Probability of hot summer will be less, 30%. And probability of cool summer will be still less. Summer cannot be cool. So, but still we are considering it as 20%, and then we add this and we get expected sales of 73 lakhs. So on an average, we can sell 73 lakhs of air conditioner. This is what is called as the expected value model. This is a decision tree diagram. This again is not popularly used. This is somewhat similar to transportation model of OR, but less commonly used. Like you start with this, then you have two number of alternatives, then you select one alternative, then again in that you will have different alternatives, then you select one alternative and again you have some more alternatives and see, and you check your termination point or your target point, so that you get a list path or the list price. Like you finally you will have one, two, then three, four, five. You will have six or seven or many outcomes. Okay, then you go along each route and go on adding the value, and whichever is the list that you have to adopt. Simulation, I have told you, the beauty of simulation is that it can be used for your probabilistic model or your unforeseen situation, random situations. Then queuing or waiting line theory. So here again there are many mathematical models. That is, what will be the time spent by a customer. Let's take an example of ticket counters at the railway station, and it is quite obvious that in the morning and in the evening the rush is there is a lot of rush in the morning, and in the evening there is a lot of crowd. So imagine if there are only two ticket counters, then there will be very high waiting time. So even if one person is waiting to get a ticket for 10 minutes, and if there are 20 people in a queue, so 20 into 10, this much time is lost per person. So queuing or waiting line theory helps you how to reduce the waiting time or how to reduce the queuing time. Whether one counter is sufficient, two counter is sufficient, or whether in the morning we should add the counters, whether we should have five counters in the morning, seven counters in the evening, and only two counters in the afternoon. So these decisions can be taken based on this queuing or waiting line theory. Game theory is like you have some product in mind and you want to increase the scale, sale, increase the profit under some conditions. Okay. And you have a competitor as well for the same product. So, what strategy you will play? It's like a game, like a chess. सामने वाला क्या मूव करता है उसके ऊपर आपका मूव रहता है डिपेंड. So same thing it is here in game theory. So there are two peoples here. One is of course the seller and another is competitor. And then based on the competitor's strategy, you decides your own strategy. That is what is your game theory is. You just need to write one or two lines. You don't have to study in detail because detailed study is not expected in this subject because this is basically a part of OR. Then you have information theory. Again, not much used. Preference theory or utility theory is again not commonly used. Heuristic programming is emerging and it is gaining lot of importance. Heuristic theory. So all these like SEO, that is ant colony algorithm, PSO, particle swarm optimization, all this comes under heuristic programming, wherein you have to build a program and you can have many constraints here. There is no limit for the constraints. And then using the algorithms like ant colony or genetic algorithm, you get the optimum solution. So you have to run that program several times till you get the optimum result. Then another is Markov analysis. That is a method of analyzing the current behavior of some variable in an effort to predict the future behavior of the same variable. Like suppose possibility of rain. So rain will depend on temperature, fertilizer, condition of the soil, then water. So if you take some example like temperature is one of the variable. So how the summer temperature will affect the present production of the crop, or how the temperature in the monsoon or temperature in the winter will affect the production of the crop. because the temperature is not going to remain the same throughout the year. So if you consider temperature as one variable, how it is going to affect on the crop, अनाज पे उसका इफेक्ट क्या रहेगा throughout the year, which helps farmer to take the decision that when to take a particular crop in which season. And not only temperature, we can check other variables like water, soil condition, fertilizer, etc. etc. Again, there will not be any numerical problem. This was a mathematical example for Markov analysis. The beautiful example of Markov analysis to estimate or to forecast the loyalty of the customers. That is, how long my customer will remain loyal to my brand, irrespective of other brands which will come in the market, like Godrej refrigerator. Okay, many times we have seen in our family, that is from the grandfather, the peoples are going only for generations and generations. They are going only for say Godrej. Okay, so that is what is loyalty. So this is what can be studied by Markov analysis. That is, even if the variable, like if there is another brand, hmm, Olvain or any other, whether my existing customer is going to switch or he will remain loyal to me only. So that can be done by Markov analysis. Markov analysis can be used for manpower planning also. Most interesting is for human requirements. Human requirements, what is the requirement of water, food after 1 year, clothes after 1 year, or house after 1 year. It is also useful for assessing the behavior of stock prices. Stock prices. So stock exchange, OR has his footprints in stocks. Then hospital admissions, internal manpower supply, etc. etc. This Markov analysis can be used. So decision theory can be defined as a set of general concepts and techniques that will help the manager to take the decision, or that will help the practitioners to take the decision correctly, to take the correct decision. That is what is, like, there are many alternatives, many options. So which option to go for, that decision can be correctly taken by the practitioners. So decision making can be under certainty or under uncertainty. Hmm. See, these are the various, techniques decision making का, which has been given in detail in OR. So it can be done if there are no dynamic conditions. That is what is called as the under certainty. So how to solve? So for that, again there are various techniques, like we prepare a payoff matrix. So in payoff matrix, we have different strategies. Say strategies S1, S2, S3. Then state of the nature. So we prepare this matrix, and there are some rules to solve this matrix, which you don't bother because that's not there in the syllabus. And then you calculate row wise and column wise and check and decide. This is called as the payoff matrix method. Then decision making under risk. So you cannot have business without risk. So some risks you have to always take. So whenever you are talking about risk, so that time your probability will come into the picture. Probability and one end to end. So probability will come into the picture whenever it is under risk. So obviously you'll have to multiply it by probabilities. See, whenever it is uncertain, then there will be always probabilities. So this was decision making under risk. Then decision making or problem solving under uncertainty. That is, the things are dynamic. So how to take the decisions? So here again, you will have to consider the probabilities. So choice of a specific decision will be determined by the size of the company, the company's what are the objectives, policies, then budget cuts, etc., etc. You need not have to go through the mathematical problems. Then there is another technique called as the cost effective analysis. So that is again a decision making methodology where we are comparing the alternatives in terms of their cost and effectiveness. Cost effective analysis can be applied to healthcare industries, defense industries, urban, The difference is that it attempts to generate a quantitative criteria. So it is easy to compare. So here now newspaper example is given. Like say there are say 100,000 newspaper, 1 lakh or 10 lakh newspaper is to be printed, and there are some color prints also, color images also. So we are doing the cost analysis for different alternative systems. Like if you do it on conventional presses, or if you do it on offset presses, or if you use computerized system. So you evaluate what will be the output. If it is a computerized, it is 1,75,000. If it is conventional presses, 1,10,000. What could be the loss due to paper quality? Loss due to paper quality will be more in offset press. What could be the loss due to downtime? So in case of offset, again, the loss due to downtime is more. Then what are the number of colors that is possible? In conventional press, 4, offset 5, and computer में 4. So if you want to have 5 colors, then you have to go for offset press, no choice. But then if you want to go for say 4 colors only, then you can compare. Then you formulate the cost models, total cost. Then for the conventional presses, offset presses, computer system, you write down, make this. So what is the C1? What is CF? This is total cost incurred for production operations over 10 years. Then this is cost of additional desirable features, and this is the total cost. So based on this, we'll go for conventional press, because here it is 9 lakhs, whereas for the computer system it is 12 lakhs 50,000. See, in this we are adding all the cost. This is initial investment. Then this is, if I am running it for 10 years, that is total cost incurred for production operation over 10 years. And this is for the colors, color reproduction. So what will be the additional cost? And then you compare, and then you take the decision. So this was your cost effective analysis. And then sensitivity analysis. Sensitivity analysis means what? That if you are changing any variables like paper quality or color quality, the brand of the color, if you are changing anything, then what will be its effect on the output? That is what is called as the sensitivity analysis. How your output is sensitive to the changes in the input. This is what is called as the sensitivity analysis. So your model which you are building, that should be capable enough to do the sensitivity analysis also. Because if the system is dynamic, then you cannot have a rigid model. You should have a flexible model. So any changes in the constraints that model should be able to take. That is what is called the sensitivity analysis. That is, if there are changes in the variables, like today temperature is 30, tomorrow's if it is 25, then whatever computers you are building should be able to withstand a car. If it is to be run in Bombay, it is to be run in Delhi, to be run in Himalaya. So the engine should be capable enough to take the variations in the temperature. That is what is sensitivity analysis is. Okay. I think it's time. So if you have any doubt, you please ask. Okay. Thank you.